Alright. Hey, and welcome to Ratchet Intellect.
Ratchet Intellect. Ratchet Intellect.
Alright, so today we are going to be talking about how we just watched The Good Doctor, which we're definitely going to show you guys a couple of clips of that to see what we're talking about, because we feel like we've had a lot of discussions about LGBTQ, and we've been told that they're going to add the P. And if you don't know, the P is for pedophiles. So about LGBTQ. And
I just wanted to make sure.
She was trying to see if we was live. So we know we're live. So I mean, if somebody's watching this, we know we're live. But anyway, we was watching The Good Doctor, yes. And we just saw this episode, and it was showing a compassionate, showing compassion
and
to people,
sympathy for people who are
pedophiles. So,
but he was a different type of pedophile. We'll get into that later. But
you did this to yourself, didn't you? I think I know what kind of urges you've been having.
I'm not a monster. I never touched anyone. Any child. My sister and I were always best friends. But then she had children. If I can't keep taking the drugs, I have to do this.
Home surgery tends to not have the results you're hoping for. You did a lot of damage, but your testicles are unscathed.
Please, finish the job.
I say we do it. He's a pedophile.
oh, that might be good to see.
No, he's not.
He just told us he was.
He has never acted on his urges, and he's asking us to do something to ensure he never does. He is a decent person.
I'm confused. What do you want to do with him?
Treat him like a patient with a diagnosis. Put him on antidepressants, refer him to a urologist, give him a psych eval. Let the experts determine if he should have a castration.
Psych eval, antidepressants. When we refer people for counseling, how often do they get cured?
I am looking to help him manage.
And if they don't get cured, what happens? They get more depressed, can't cope, quit jobs, maybe kill themselves? All bad, but not rape a child bad.
Okay.
hey. Okay, so now y'all saw both of those two together, and you saw what we was trying to show you originally. We trying to get it together, y'all.
We are.
This is live.
Get it together.
This is live.
We gonna get it together.
So the point was that this is a new episode. We just saw this
on The Good Doctor.
So this is taking a different perspective at looking at pedophiles.
Yes.
And we all grew up in a day and age where
you was warned about pedophiles.
Okay, so
from the men who like little girls. Okay,
so I don't know if y'all ever watched this thing called Very Special Episode, but you know our videos aren't monetized anyway, so we're gonna give you an example of what we talking about. Okay, if y'all don't remember this Very Special Episode, we about to show it to you right now. To tell you give you an indication of what we talking about.
What we grew up with.
Mr. Drummond warns it's about to get very real in this bitch. Buckle up. The fam's returning bikes after a ride. Mr. Horton comes out juggling. He used to juggle knives in the circus. Not a troubling backstory at all. He says instead of renting, Mr. Drummond should buy a bike. Sounds good to Arnold. Mr. Drummond doesn't like the idea of Arnold riding around town. There are a lot of creepy weirdos. Arnold says a bike now is a great investment. He's going to be this size forever. Mr. Horton shows Arnold a fresh red bike. He loves it. He can wear a red helmet with red pants and pronounce C's like B so people know where he bums from. Mr. Drummond says it'll make a fine birthday gift. Mr. Horton tells Arnold if he passes out these flyers, he'll give him a nifty radio.
You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. You keep coming up with these presents, you could scratch me all over.
He might just take you up on that, Arnold. Arnold is unsuccessfully distributing these opposite of treasure maps. Dudley shows him how a real salesman does it, then wants in on the offer to hand out a pedophile's leaflets for a free radio. Arnold announces he gave out all the flyers.
That is great, Arnold. You're sure some terrific passer-outer.
I have a way with words when I put my mouth to it.
Maybe don't advertise what that mouth do. Mr. Horton says this calls for a celebration. How about a banana split in his attached apartment that features one of those arcade cabinets older men are known to have loved in the 1980s?
Arnold, this is the tallest, the sweetest, the gooeyest, the stickiest, the most disgusting banana split I think I've ever made.
That checks out. Most of his disgusting sticky messes aren't very tall at all.
The way I eat it, it won't have a chance to melt. My tongue's faster than a hummingbird's wings.
Arnold, please say less right now. Mr. Horton says it sucks. Arnold's dad won't give him the bike until his birthday. But if he wants to swing by after school, he can ride that red thing. Maybe take the bike for a spin, too. But do not tell Dada about the bike. Matter of fact, don't tell Dada shit. Arnold tells Dudley the awesome news that Mr. Horton has toys and trains and video games. It's like Michael Jackson's house. Just like Michael Jackson's house. And he might be able to get Dudley in on the banana-shaped stuff-in-your-mouth action. Mr. Horton sees his young guest and plants some porn between comic books. Very weird laugh track. He invites them into his sad apartment for pizza. He says the za is cooking, but he needs to go to the front, so peruse his well-stocked literature in the meantime. Arnold's mind is blown. That's a titty. That's a titty. Whole book full of titty. Mr. Horton catches them and says, it's all good. A little titty never hurt no one. The human body is a work of art. Now here's some pizza with a not-so-subtle sales pitch on the side.
You know, guys, you can just have an awful lot of fun with your clothes off. Unless, of course, you live at the North Pole, gonna freeze your tush off.
Very, very weird laugh track. He says skinny dipping is fun. Here are pictures of him swimming naked with kids to prove it.
So you get our point, you know what I'm saying?
You grew up with episodes like that.
Okay, like what the okay. And for your people who grew up, you know, with the 90s, because we 80 babies, so we see stuff in the 80s, we see stuff in the 90s. Smart guy, yeah, they had one of these episodes too. They sure did.
TJ wants $55 for a computer game called Starship Doctor. His dad says no dice. Meanwhile, Marcus and Mo went splitsies on a piece of shit card that set them back a cool $600. Karen tells TJ about a kid named Marky412 she's been talking to in a chat room who's selling bootleg copies of Starship Doctor for $20. TJ has some concerns that this is illegal and therefore something that could get him in trouble, which he quickly overlooks the second Karen calls him a wuss. TJ messages Marky412 and finds out that not only is Starship Doctor still available, he also has some more illegal games. Eager to purchase all these bootleg titles, TJ says they'll meet him this afternoon, then hatches a quick plan to fleece those two bozos with car troubles outside. He offers to repair the car for $65, then somehow fixes the engine with a paperclip, then takes off with those suckers' money. TJ and Karen show up in dorky matching hats, looking for the kid they were talking to in the chat room. Only a kid doesn't show up. It turns out Marky412 is a fully grown dude. And when TJ and Karen are like, hey man, what the shit, we thought you were 12. Marky412 says he was only in the kid's chat room because he likes games. And the only other people on Earth who like games are kids. And that airtight logic is all these two idiots need to sit down with this pedophile. They do the deal in a very inconspicuous fashion. Seasoned pros. Marky says enjoy, but definitely do not tell your dad. Because hey dum-dum, illegal stuff makes dads pissed. TJ instantly shows his dad all the cool new games he bought. And when his dad's like, hey man, what the shit, I thought you only robbed your brother for $65. TJ covers by saying he only bought one game and the rest are Karen's. Very smooth. Marky412 IMs to ask how they like the games. TJ says they're super sweet, and Marky412 says he has 2 new games, including Clowns of War, and they're even sweeter. Only Marky can't leave the house because he's too busy working on a new game. So if they want Clowns of War, they better book it over to his house. TJ scams some more car money, then rides off into the sunset of his innocence. Marky412 welcomes his young guest to a very unsettling basement, featuring 2 computers and a surfboard on a blue screen that's the new game he's been working on. Marky412 starts explaining his Surf City game, and TJ is enthralled. Marky says he uses that super nifty basement cam over there to put your image right in the game, and they can be the very first to try it. TJ and Karen take turns on this absolutely terrible game where you stand on a surfboard and do nothing as stock footage of waves crashing plays behind you. It might be the worst game of all time if you can even call it a game at all. They say the game rocks because they're dumb, but Mikey412 says something's wrong. See, they're surfing in warm clothes and it looks weird. They should be wearing bathing suits. TJ quips that bathing suits might be winter wear in Hawaii, but not in DC, which stands for darn cold, which is music to a pedophile's ears since only dumb little kids say darn. Marky says underwear is basically the same as a bathing suit, and yeah, you know, know, maybe they should just, like, get in their underwear and hop on that surfboard. TJ and Karen say no thanks, and Marky breaks out a book.
So, once again, you get the idea.
They were showing us all these TV shows about staying away from pedophiles, and even got the computer involved when the computer was a big little box and you type, even when that was appropriate, they showed us to stay away from pedophiles. So obviously it's been a bad thing, you know what I'm saying? Obviously you don't want your kids messing around with pedophiles. You don't want to go to the beginning, that's for sure.
Is it towards the end?
No, I thought I was in the middle. We're trying to get to this next video where it's called Tricky People. And they had this Tricky People song. Yeah, it had to be when Donna was dancing. Yeah. I just jump into it.
Alright, yeah.
So anyways, this is an old ass
video. As hell. We just gotta put down the point. We gotta get the point that they have been against pedophiles for as long as I've known.
Any type of media I've ever seen. Okay? That's the point.
The tricky people, they can't fool me 'cause I'm too smart.
Right on.
What if a guy shows you a badge and he says he's a cop?
Huh?
Now what do? How do you check? Before you go, you stop.
That's right.
You call 911 or you call O. That's how you begin. And if they say no, take 3 steps back, then run like the wind.
The tricky people, tricky people, they look like you and me.
Yeah, they do.
They're just tricky people, tricky people, a big way you can't see.
What if a guy gives you some cash if you go with him now?
Tell him, sister.
What if the little voice inside of you says, no sir, no way, no how?
Take 3 steps back, take 3 steps back, that's how you begin. Take 3 steps back, take 3 steps back, and run like the wind. Hey, tricky people have pain down in their heart, yeah. Tricky people, you can't fool me 'cause I'm too smart.
I think you get the point.
I think y'all get it. You know what I'm saying?
Take 3 steps back and run like the wind. That's their advice. Run. When you see a pedophile, you better run.
So everybody knows that pedophilia is listed as a psychiatric disorder.
Yeah.
Right now, like
mental illness.
It's a mental illness. Look it up. That's what it says.
They even wrote books about it back in the 1900s, 1905, 1928, where they felt like pedophiles were ingrained. Like, pedophilia is ingrained in you and it is unchangeable. It sounds a lot like what people used to say about homosexuality. Okay? You want to know why they're conjoining the two. I think we're trying to prove a point here that for a while homosexuality was considered a mental illness as well, and before that they were getting charged criminal charges for sodomy. So when that changed, then it was like a mental illness. I mean, you know, we found a little.
I mean, let me show you a little something. Let somebody else tell it.
But at this point, sexual orientation is not covered by the 1964 legislation. I guess the context, you know, is it wasn't until 1973 that the American Psychiatric Association came to the conclusion that homosexuality in general is not a mental illness, and that was the year when the APA voted to take homosexuality out of its diagnostic manual. Until that point, every gay person, no matter how well-adjusted or healthy or functioning, was considered mentally ill. So that's the background, and you know, really that wasn't so long ago that our most progressive doctors were under the assumption or were working on this theory that homosexuality was in fact a mental disease. So I think conversion therapy is the kind of the contemporary cousin to that to that belief that gay people are sick and that they can be cured or that they need to be cured. And certainly, you know, dozens of medical establishment organizations ranging from the AMA to youth organizations have condemned conversion therapy. But this idea that people who are gay can be converted into not being gay is indeed still alive. And my sense is that at this point, 7 states have outlawed.
So you get our point, right?
I mean, it was a mental disorder. Now it's not a mental disorder. They still got people out there who still can send their kids to conversion therapies because it's not outlawed in a lot of states in the United States of America. But since we're talking about laws in the states of America, same-sex marriages, that law was passed, right? They fought hard and long for that, and that law was passed. Congratulations. But when it comes to pedophilia, did you know that it is no law banning children from getting married? Did you not know that? Did you not know that 10-year-olds, 10-year-olds are out there getting married to grown-ass men, and they have the parental consent of their parent? These are called forced child marriages, and they're happening every day, okay? They only have one state, what, Florida? And I think California is working on it, but one state that had banned child marriages, flat out just banned it, because there was no states in the United States of America that banned children from getting married. But we so against pedophilia, right? No, we're against pedophilia in the media. But when it came to what was really going on, they were straight up letting kids get married. Because, like, when did they stop? When did they stop letting grown-ass men marry children? You remember back in the day when grown-ass men were marrying 13-year-olds?
Yeah, I remember The Color Purple.
I mean, when did that stop? It didn't. That's what we're trying to tell you in this here video that's coming up next.
Coming up right now.
Between 2000 and 2010, an estimated 248,000 children in the U.S. found themselves taking on a very grown-up commitment. They got married. Last week in Florida, the state Senate took up a bill to put a stop to that.
37 yeas, 0 nays, Mr. President.
So by your vote, the bill passes.
If the measure gets signed into law, Florida would actually become the first state in the country to flat-out ban child marriage. It's the kind of proposal that's been met with some unusual pushback in other parts of the U.S.
This was me right before I went to see my dad. I was 15. My dad had moved to California, and he wanted me to come visit him that summer. I wasn't looking forward to seeing him, actually. As soon as I got off the plane, he kind of sat me down and said, you know, you're at an age where boys are becoming interested in you, and you need to get married.
It happened very, very quick. It was within.
You need to what? Get married. And she was what? 15. She was 15 and her daddy made her get married. This is happening. Grown-ass men are marrying little girls to this day. Like, this is going on. So while you want to think that these people are crazy, because there's this thing called MAPS. Okay. There's this group online. They're called MAPS, MAPS, and that stands for Minor Attracted Persons, which means pedophile. Okay, so they're not even trying to be like, oh, I'm a pedophile. Oh no, I'm a MAP. You know, you look at MAP, like, what the hell is a MAP? A MAP is somebody who is attracted to minors. Okay, and I mean, these minors be 6 to 11, like, and I mean, I'm telling you, 10-year-olds are getting married.
And going back to the good doctor, because the good doctor wants to shine a light on pedophiles that are not acting on these urges. Pedophiles that know that they're attracted to children, but do not, in no type of way, not even looking at it online, no type of way are they acting on these urges. So that's what this episode is trying to highlight the virtuous pedophiles.
And I mean, do you not understand? They are called virtuous pedophiles. When you hear of virtuous, you think about God, you think about Christianity, the glory of virtuous woman. Virtuous pedophiles, like that's an oxymoron. Like, how you even put those two together, I don't understand. But virtuous pedophiles, yeah, they gonna tell you what that is, just so you know.
I work in the health industry. I volunteer. I don't annoy my neighbours with loud music. By all accounts, I'm a model citizen, really, just with one flaw. My name's James, I'm 27 years old. I'm attracted to young girls. Specifically to girls between the ages of 6 and 11, with the peak spot there being 7 to 9. That's kind of the sweet spot. Like, it's kind of a misconception that all pedophiles are attracted to all children, which simply isn't the case. Just like there's attractive women and not attractive women, there's attractive children and not attractive children. A virtuous pedophile is a pedophile who's chosen not to act. They recognise that they can hurt people, and so they make a moral decision simply to not.
Have you ever acted upon your attractions?
No.
Never physically, never with any child?
No.
What about?
So there you have it. Does anything else need to be said on why you will be seeing the P right along with LGBTQ? Like, it's not a game. It took a while for homosexuality to start being accepted, okay? But it ain't gonna take that long for it. How can it take long when you don't even have states banning it? Like, you got kids out here getting married to this day. We in the year 2018, they finally banning child marriage. Finally? I mean, I'm shocked that in the year 2018, children are still getting married, and they're just like, I mean, yeah, the parent, like, no. Parents always think they right. Like, y'all always think y'all know best what's best for your children, but sometimes, what about the parents that force their kids into marriage? Do they know what's best for their kids?
I mean, the truth of the matter is, the P is going to be added to LGBTQ, because if we're standing on the grounds that I was born with this, I've always been like this, there's nothing I can do to change this.
I'm depressed. I can't do anything that I want to do because of these sexual urges.
I feel like committing suicide and killing myself.
I mean, this seems like
because
a lot
we didn't
of things
even
that
show
that community. That, I mean, first of all, anybody could go through this, whether you are homosexual or you are heterosexual. Depression is real.
It is very real.
But when you got society telling you that you wrong and making you feel ashamed for your sexual urges, that sounds like a different type of community. That sounds like the LGBTQ community, that thing that y'all been going through, and that's why they're trying to lump y'all together. And some people are offended by it. But at the end of the day, if you just take a step out about how you feel about people messing with children, because it's not about how you feel. Like, you don't want people to tell you how they feel about you sleeping with the same sex. So nobody really wants you to tell them how to feel about their sexual urges. It's the fact that those virtuous ones that they got, they say they ain't even acting upon it. So what do you say about that person? Are they bad people because they're attracted to people? I mean, to little kids, because somebody would say that you were a bad person for being attracted to the same sex. I mean, do you not understand how it comes together?
It all does line up with each other. And we didn't even show you the ending of The Good Doctor, where old boy pretty much stepped in front of his car and killed himself.
He killed himself. So what is The Good Doctor writers trying to tell you what solves the problem to this?
If they're trying to say that if the United States of America don't start accepting these people for who they are and allowing them to get help without demonizing them and dehumanizing them, then it's just going to be another percent of the population, because that's 1 to 5%. That's 1 to 5% of the population. That's still a lot of people.
They live with you. Not live with you. Well, they could live with you. They go to work with you. You walk past them in the streets, and they're like children. This is what they like. What can you do about it? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same thing as any other sexual urge that you want what you want.
So y'all tell us what y'all think. You know what I'm saying?
Please tell me what
do you
think
the P is going to be added to LGBTQ?
Do you think of course?
Do you think
I'm telling you, the media is changing. I have seen this in other shows in 2018 where they are having you sympathize with people who are sexually attracted to minors because they feel like they got a voice too, and their voice want to be heard just like anybody else's voice want to be heard. Like, why are we surprised about this? I'm just saying, don't be surprised, because when we said Trump was about to be president, people was
nobody believed us.
But look what's happening. This is the world we in right now, so you really need to get ready for the whole pedophilia thing to get popping, because that's about to be a real life thing, and that P, yeah, it's gonna be added.
All right, thanks for tuning in.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Subscribe. Lord Jesus.
Bye.